Today I want to show you 6 fun font hacks that you can do in Cricut Design Space, and number 6 is my absolute favorite, so make sure you stay until the end. If we're just meeting right now, hi, my name is Nisha. Welcome to Little Craft Nest. Let's jump onto the computer and get started. The first thing I want to show you is how to make a thin font appear thicker. So let's grab some text. I'm going to type out the word thicker. Let's make this a little bigger, and we're going to choose a really thin font. So I'm going to go up to fonts, and I'm going to choose a system font that I uploaded to Design Space called Bumblebee. And if you're interested in any of the fonts that I use in this video, I will list them all down below in the description and also let you know where I got them from. So here is our Bumblebee font, and it's rather thin. You could definitely weed this out with your Cricut, but maybe it's a little too thin because you want to make that font small and you're like, there's no way I'm going to weed that out. I love this font, but I wish it was a little thicker. So what you're going to do is go up to offset, and you'll notice around our word, we've got this blue outline here creating an offset. We don't want it to be that big, so we're going to grab this dial and drag it towards the center, creating a smaller offset. So my offset is now down to 0.028 inches, and I'm going to click on apply. So let's move our top layer. So this is the original text we typed out, and here is our offset layer. So now you could get rid of your original text and just have your Cricut cut out your offset, which will really help out your weeding process. For our next font hack, I want to talk about kerning fonts. So I'm first going to get rid of this word here at the bottom. We'll keep this and save this for later. But what I'm going to do is go over to the layers panel and hide that for now so we don't see it on the screen. So let's grab another text box, and this time I'm going to type out kerning. And let's make this a little bigger, and we're going to change the font again. This time I'm going to use a Cricut font, and I want to select a cursive font here so you can look at the categories here at the top, and you can click on cursive and we can scroll through these. Now there's one I wanted to use called PS that I'm gonna scroll all the way down to, and here it is. All right, so we have the word kerning here, and often when Cricut does have cursive fonts, it automatically pushes those letters together, but for some reason it doesn't happen with all of the fonts. So that's when you're gonna have to kern your own fonts. So let me show you how to do that. We're gonna go up above the layers panel and click on ungroup. And what this does is take every single letter from your word and make it its own individual layer. So now we have 7 different layers here instead of 1. But what that means is you can move the letters around. So we can click on this R here in the middle, and with your arrow key on your keyboard, you can move that R closer to the E. You can also use your mouse and bring it over, but if you don't have a steady hand, you could go ahead and use your keyboard if you want to be more precise. So I don't find this R is perfectly lined up, so I'm just gonna nudge it a little with my keyboard, and it looks like it's perfect now. So let's bring all these other letters over, and you can space them any way you like. So you can use this method not only for cursive fonts, but for other fonts as well. And something else that can be kind of fun to do is changing the font size of the first letter of your word. So if we click on the K, we can stretch that K out and place it right here. And this kind of gives it a really fun look. But now remember, this is all separate layers. So if you were to click on make right now, each of your letters would appear separately on your mat, and you don't want that. So let's cancel this. So before you hit that make button, you're going to select all your letters, go down to the bottom, click on combine, and you can either click on weld or unite. If you click on weld, you won't be able to make changes to this later, and that's why I like using the unite feature instead. But let's say you forgot to do that, and instead of using weld or unite, you clicked on attach. Now I'm going to change the color of this font so that you can actually see what happens. So let's make this a light purple. And if you zoom in and look at our word here, you can see the cut lines between each letter. So you obviously don't want that. So if you were to press make right now, it would all cut out as one group, but you would get cut lines between those letters, which you probably don't want because that means your word is going to fall apart when you take it off the mat. So let's cancel this. We're going to select our word again, and this time we're going to click on Combine and Unite. And now you'll notice on our text here, there are no cut lines in between. So when you make this, it will cut out the way you want it to cut out. Now I'm going to quickly type out this word one more time so you can see the difference. So this is what we started with. We have the word kerning, and after kerning our font, this is what it looks like. It just looks so much better. And like I said, you could do this with any font you wanted to, and you can really give your fonts their own personality and change the letters how you want them to be. So let's get rid of this. I'm going to click on delete, and we'll go to font hack number 3. This time I'm going to type out the word curve, and we're going to choose a new font again. There's so many fonts, why not use them? So this time I'm going to grab another system font. This one's called Cake and Truffle. All right, so we have our word curve here and a really fun font. So we're going to click on our text and then go up to the top and click on curve. And you can curve your text any way you want. So you can curve it down, you can curve it up, and this is just so much fun to play with. So if you had an image on your canvas, you could curve text around that image, and that's just so much fun and so easy to do. All right, let's hide this layer and go to font hack number 4. So this time I'm gonna type out Warp. And this time, let's choose another Cricut font. We're gonna use Annlie Extra Bold. All right, you may have seen this feature at the top of Design Space. You may or may have not played with it before, but if you go to the top, you can click on Warp. You'll notice that there is a little A at the top for Cricut Access. So you do need to have a Cricut Access subscription in order to use this feature. So we're going to click on check it out, and you'll notice a whole pile of different designs here. There are 30 of them. So you can click on any of these and play with them. This one here kind of looks like a fish. It's kind of fun. Now let's move this warp box over to the side so you can see what's going on. That's actually a new feature, being able to move these boxes, which I'm really enjoying. I'm very glad they changed that. So at the bottom here, you can adjust the warp as well. So you can turn it down and it'll be slightly less dramatic, or you can turn it up and it will be more dramatic. Let's try out another one here. I like this wavy one, number 16. That's kind of fun. It's set at 70 right now. So if you want it more dramatic, we can bring that right up to 100 and it gives it more of a curve, or you can bring it right down and it has a slight curve at number 10, but you can't really tell that much. It almost looks like the word is Cricut rather than warped. So you may want to put that up a little bit. That looks pretty cool. You can also do something like number 26. That's a little crazy, or 29 here, and it kind of looks like credits on an end screen. That's kind of fun. And you can just play around with the text until you get what you're looking for. So that is a really fun feature to use. So if you haven't tried that out yet, go ahead and test that out. So I'm gonna hide our warp layer here, and we're gonna look at another feature that is a little Cricut Access bonus. So down at the bottom left panel, there's a little tab that says Monogram. We're gonna click on that. So again, this is for Cricut Access members only, and you'll see that it says beta here, which means it's still in the testing phase. I feel like it's been in the testing phase for quite a while, but I find this feature works really well, and I haven't encountered any glitches recently with it, so that's pretty good. So up at the top, you can type in any initials you want. Right now I have CDS. I just wrote that for Cricut Design Space. Made sense to me. You can choose between classic or thematic, and you can just play around and look at all the different options there are here. There are so many. Here's a sports one, and then underneath the image here, you can click on different fonts. That one looks very sportsy. That's pretty cool. You can also change the frame, so maybe you don't want football, maybe you want soccer instead, and that looks pretty cool. But we're down to only one letter with that design, so let's go back to the football. Let's click on Add to Canvas. So this football and text here, you'll notice in the layers panel, is just one layer, so you can't really do much to change this. So let's go back to the Monogram Maker and do something else. Let's go to Classic. Let's grab a little circle. That's kind of cool. Let's choose some different text here. All right, and now let's click on Add to Canvas. Now, if we go over to the Layers panel, you'll notice there's an arrow there, which means there's more than one layer. There's actually 4 different layers under this one. So if you wanted to, you could ungroup those layers, and then you could adjust any one of those layers. So if we were to click on the text there, you could make that smaller if you didn't like how big Design Space made that. And you could go up to the top, you could change the color of that, and you could just play around with the text. You could also put that on an angle even, stretch it out a little, and you've just created even more of a custom monogram. So that's another option as well. But keep in mind, because you ungrouped all those layers, if you try to move it, you're only moving one layer. So you may want to group that all back together by selecting all those layers and grouping them together so you can move that as a whole on your screen. So let's hide these fun monograms that we just made. And we are now at font hack number 6, which is my favorite. So let's go and add some more text to our screen. This time I'm gonna type out the word outline because we are outlining our text. So let's make this bigger, and once again, let's change the font. I'm gonna grab a system font again. This one is called Big Bottom Cartoon. All right, and that is such a fun font. But there are a few things I don't like about it. You'll notice the O and U are touching each other, which I don't like. So we're gonna kern this font just like we did before. So I'm gonna ungroup my letters at the top. I'm gonna select that U and just nudge it over a little bit using the arrow keys on my keyboard. This N as well needs to be moved over a little bit, and that's looking much better. So I'm gonna select all those letters and go below the layers panel and click on attach. Now, if you like the way your font was kerned already, you don't have to do that step. I just did that for this particular font. So now I wanna create an outline for this word. So I'm gonna drag this down a little bit, and we're gonna click on offset up at the top. So we have a big, huge offset going around our word. I don't want it that big, so we're gonna grab that little dial and bring it towards the center. And I'm now at 0.083 inches, and I'm gonna click on apply. Now we just created an offset here. It's not an outline, we will get to that. Now I don't want to outline in the center of my O or in the center of my E here. So what I'm gonna do is contour that offset layer. So we have 2 separate layers here. So this is our original layer, and here is our offset layer. You don't have to separate them. We can put them back on top of each other. All right, and I just encountered a glitch in Design Space. I pressed the back button and everything deleted. So I'm gonna start this over again. Sometimes you do get glitches in Design Space, especially when they try to do lots of upgrades. So we're gonna start that piece over again. Okay, I've typed out my word again, I've kerned it, and now we're gonna add that offset again. We're at 0.083, and I'm gonna click on apply. So as I showed you before, we have 2 separate layers here. So in the layers panel, make sure you have your offset layer selected, and then we're gonna go down to the bottom and click on contour. And I'm just gonna get rid of these little pieces here. So I'm gonna click on the inside of the O, and these are the pieces inside of the E. And then I'm just gonna click the X on the top, and now those holes have been filled in. Now what we're gonna do is create another offset on top of that offset. So go back up to the top and click on offset, and Design Space will use the last setting that you last used. So the last thing we used was 0.083, so it's set at that again, so we don't need to change that. All you have to do is click on apply. So now we have 3 layers. We have our text and we have 2 offset layers. You're gonna go over to the layers panel, select the one offset layer, hold down your shift key on your keyboard and select the other offset layer. So both of your offset layers should be selected and you'll be able to see that in the layers panel. Then we're gonna go down to the bottom and click on combine, and then we're gonna click subtract. And our word has now just been magically outlined and it looks fantastic. But remember, we have 2 separate layers here. So if I remove that, you can see that there. So let's put that back into place. If you're having a hard time lining up those layers together, you can select them both, go up to align, and then just click on center. And if you want this all to be the same color when it cuts out, rather than 2 separate colors, you'll need to go back down to the bottom and click on attach so that this cuts out all together. And this is one of my favorite font tricks. You can really embellish your text and make some fun things using this method. It's also a really good method to use when you want to create and design your own cake toppers. So let me know what your favorite font hack was. Was it making it thicker, the kerning, the curving, the warping, the Monogram Maker, or the outline? If you want to learn more font tricks, I do have a video on how to add those fancy glyphs to the end and beginning of letters. So I'll leave that video down below in the description. And I also have a video on how to do knockout text. So that'll be listed below, and I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.